So the plastic surgery was a huge success. The woman looked absolutely beautiful with her new nose, and the surgeon watches her looking in the mirror and he says, "Well, what do you think?" And she kind of runs her finger down her nose and kind of winces. And she wasn't really seeing what he was seeing, because she said, "I still kind of feel ugly." This is a true story from the 1950s, a guy called Maxwell Maltz. He was one of the leading plastic surgeons in New York, and he'd done movie stars, war veterans. But at this moment, when he was talking to this woman, he realized something pretty incredible about all of us, because you can give someone the new face, but not a new self. And really, the surgery wasn't about what you did on the outside. It was about what was going on the inside. My name's Michael Dawson, the author of Quit Your Diet. And if you feel like you're done with meal plans, calorie counters, magic pills, then you could be in the right place, because I'm here to help you build a 14-day plan to quitting diets forever. Membership on my website will always be free to you if you join pretty soon, within the next week, and that opens up all the tools you will need. I've also designed a short 12-question quiz to help you determine at what level your weight problem is, and thus what level your solution is. So you can find that around here somewhere. If you're new here, then you won't know that at least twice a week we talk about the real path to quitting diets forever. Welcome. So the story I just told you was from a book called Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz, and it was first published in 1960. Now, he was a plastic surgeon who turned to the field of self-image psychology after noticing that many of his patients' emotional struggles persisted even after successful cosmetic surgeries. And the book became a real foundation in personal development, and it influenced writers, psychologists, and me over the years in the work that we do. And he discovered something incredible, that our self-image, the mental picture we hold of ourselves, sets the boundaries for our success and our happiness. You change the internal image and your behavior, confidence, outcomes begin to change too. And he believed that the mind works like a kind of goal-setting machine. And by feeding it positive, intentional images, you can reprogram that machine. So in short, if you believe that you're unhealthy or you're an overweight person, then that's what your mind will always push you towards. Just like that woman with the beautiful reconstructed face, she still felt ugly. So what happens if we could take a pill or an injection to magically make the fat go away? In recent months, you've probably seen all the headlines, watched all the interviews, perhaps even had conversations about the latest miracle weight loss drug, GLP-1 receptor. Celebrities, influencers praising these dramatic results. Even Oprah, I'm told, has publicly embraced this pharmaceutical approach to weight loss. There's some great articles out there on this subject, and at first glance it looks like maybe the final nail in the coffin of diet plans, regimes, and not least the idea of actually quitting diets forever by changing your mindset and doing what I do. So, thanks to the wonders of technology, our problems simply melt away, and you're outside the massive PR campaign by these drug companies. There is a little bit of a different story starting to develop. I'm a guy that spent 40 years in the people business, and while listening, you might also consider my external motivations. Bear in mind, I wrote a book that's designed to free people from the diet culture. And so if a drug comes along that removes any requirements, any effort, any willpower or change, then I might as well throw over the dust sheets and close the doors. But I don't think that's true. My personal thoughts when I first heard about medication was no. That's just on a personal level for me, because I knew no matter what this medication did, it was bypassing my own body's natural way of working. That's just my personal choice. I respect yours, and you've got your own individual ideas. But I do believe it's worth me putting my sixpennyworth in, particularly if I'm offering alternatives to pharmaceutical interventions. Today I want to share a slightly different perspective, one that addresses the mind rather than the body, and it focuses on sustainable psychological change rather than temporary physical manipulation. And it empowers rather than creates dependency. The GLP-1 receptor, as it's called, was originally developed for type 2 diabetes. It gained popularity when the weight loss side effects became apparent, and now it's FDA approved for weight management. It's looking like a bit of a paradigm shift. So I read an article recently that acknowledges several changes that have come along with this drug. So many users have lost weight, and some are experiencing improvements in their health markers as a result. As a type 1 diabetic with blood tests, I go through that quite a lot. There are lots of indicators within your blood work that tell you kind of where you are sitting. It's really, really clever stuff. Some report better treatment from others due to weight loss. People treat them differently. That's really interesting. The economic impact has been unbelievable. Novo Nordisk becomes one of Europe's second most valuable companies. So there's two things haven't changed. There are a lot of people who have not lost any weight, or they've lost very minimal amounts of weight. The majority of people in larger bodies apparently are not taking these drugs. The anti-fat kind of bias and weight stigma still persists, and it could even be getting worse, because if you're overweight, people look at you and say, well, you've only got to take an injection, so why won't you even do that? Which is a kind of bizarre logic, but there you go. And the long-term data on the safety and effectiveness is very limited at this point. There are some important questions to talk about, sustainability, accessibility, whether these drugs will truly change everything in the world of weight loss, as some are claiming. There's a big missing piece here, and that is the mind, not just the body. And that's illustrated in the story I told at the beginning of this video. So what strikes me most about weight loss drug conversation is how it continues its long tradition of addressing only the physical aspects of weight management while ignoring the psychological dimension. So as a therapist, I've observed that lasting change rarely comes from manipulating the body while leaving the mind untouched. Hence the story I told at the beginning of this video. So weight loss drugs work primarily by affecting appetite and satiety signals, essentially creating an artificial override of your body's natural systems. So it creates kind of a short-term change, doesn't address the complex psychology that people have with food. Now, my first query when I heard that was, it's suppressing the appetite, which suggests that people are overeating because they are hungry. Now, this could well be true. I don't know. I just know that when I overeat and I put too much weight on, I know it's not because I'm hungry. I know I'm not overeating because I'm hungry. It just is not true for me. So that's an interesting kind of personal experience. What's true also is that food obsession, emotional eating, diet mentality, body image issues, they exist up here in the mind, not in the stomach. So when we focus just on the physical intervention, we miss that opportunity to heal the psychological patterns that drive eating behaviors in the first place. So consider this. If you temporarily suppress appetite without addressing why you eat beyond physical hunger, what happens when the suppression ends? Well, if you don't resolve that emotional issue, your connections with food, the thought patterns around eating or identity, body size, any physical intervention becomes a temporary kind of plastering over the cracks. That led me to ask myself one really important question, or realization in a way. Wow. First of all, before we go any further, perhaps this, and I've no data to back this up, but maybe this could even work better with the Quit Your Diet program, because of course you've got the physical intervention and then you've got the mental intervention. However, I cannot vouch for that at all. So I can't do this video without talking about my particular idea. It's a natural alternative. It's a 14-day approach to breaking your diet mentality, creating a peaceful relationship with food. And it does that through 3 key phases that I call MAP. The first one is M for MAP, this is the phase that focuses on charting your course beyond diet territory. And we use the analogy of a journey. You're opening the map, you're looking at a really good route to take, working out where the dangers might be before you've even gone out the door. So that's phase one, which I call MAP. It's learning about why you're quitting diets and where you're going to go instead. Next is A, which is Align. And this is like doing the training in your base camp before you even leave on this adventure. You know, during this phase, you're going to prepare for the journey. You're going to develop psychological skills, build mental resilience. You're going to align all your thoughts and emotions. You need to be ready for when you leave base camp. And this makes you skilled with the tools that I'm going to provide for you, which is interesting because it's almost like, as I always say, there's no point going out with a shotgun or a rifle, seeing the first bear, and then shooting yourself in the foot. So it's all about that kind of alignment and practice. And then finally, it's P for proceed, which is the final phase. That involves taking the journey with confidence, taking the leap, and ceremonially beginning your new relationship with food and new practices, and doing away with diets forever. And it doesn't require lifetime use. In fact, I often say when people join my community, I'm always pushing you away, which sounds kind of strange, but I'm always doing that with my clients because I'm wanting to stand you up, see that you've got enough tools. And as soon as you can stand on your own 2 feet, I want you to carry on alone because that's best. There's no dependency on me. There's no physical side effects. And instead, it kind of builds autonomy for you. Let me make some comparisons. If we compare the mind-first approach with my framework to the kind of weight loss drugs, there are several differences. And here's where I think I want to throw a few punches. First of all, autonomy versus dependency. Weight loss drugs create this fundamental dependency. Your result only lasts as long as you continue taking the medication. In contrast, the Quit Your Diet framework builds internal resources, self-regulation. They become part of you. The goal isn't to rely on external solutions, but to develop your own sustainable internal controls. The next one is the root cause versus the symptom. Pharmaceutical approaches address the symptom, which is hunger, cravings, without touching the underlying psychological causes or the problems or the eating behavior. It's like turning down the volume on a radio without fixing all the static in the transmission. The QUID framework targets the root psychological patterns that drive food obsession and diet cycles. By addressing these foundational issues, it creates potential for lasting transformation. The other one is side effects versus side benefits. Now, this is really interesting because the weight loss drug comes with documented side effects ranging from nausea, digestive issues, more serious concerns. However, the psychological approach in the QUIDS framework produces side benefits rather than side effects. Increased self-awareness, improved emotional regulation, better stress management, and enhanced decision-making skills that go way beyond this whole idea of dealing with our food issues. And then there's cost, of course. £1,000 a month for the GLP-1 drugs, depending on insurance coverage, what country you live in, and the rules and regulations. And then the QUID framework represents a one-time investment rather than an ongoing cost. So if you're dealing with me, there's many different routes you could take. You could buy my book for $6 to $10. You could do the course that I've done, or you could join our group for free and just tag along with us at our monthly meetings. It's accessible regardless of medical status, insurance coverage, financial situation. I am in the early stages of building our group, hence the lifetime free membership if you sign up now. The psychological principles behind the QUID framework are well established in any therapeutic practice. Full disclosure, as you probably know, I am blatantly unqualified as a medical professional and would never suggest my advice on this issue. I'm not suggesting that weight loss drugs have got no place or that people who choose them are making a wrong decision. The QUID framework can either complement these medical approaches or it can replace them entirely. That's up to you. But what I'm advocating is for a more kind of balanced conversation, because true health really is physical, mental, emotional. If you're interested in exploring a psychological approach to food freedom, here's some ideas. Understand your own unique patterns. Take the food freedom quiz that I've put around here somewhere and discover your primary level. Get some free hints and tips from me about why possibly your diets are not working. Number 2, shift your focus from weight to well-being. Begin noticing how much mental energy you devote to thoughts about food, weight, eating, calories, and become aware of those thought patterns. It's the first step towards changing them. Question the diet mentality. Challenge thoughts that categorize foods as good or bad, that create these rules. And then there's a structured approach, a 14-day map framework that provides a step-by-step process for breaking free from diet mentality and developing a peaceful relationship with food, all available through my website and free membership. We don't know yet whether we'll appreciate that lovely new nose or we're going to still feel ugly. And I'd love to hear from you if you'd like to join us on this journey. I'd love to see your comments below if you're using this medication, you think it's awesome. And I hope today you might pause before you hit the button on those physical interventions, because I'm passionate about helping people quit that diet treadmill and escape forever. I'm Michael Dawson, the author of Quit Your Diet, and membership on my website will always be free to you if you join now. You'll get access to all of my tools, PDFs, downloads. I also have a quick fun quiz that's designed to help you determine at what mental level your problem lies and what level you should be intervening. Finally, if you're still here and you found this video interesting or useful, the internet universe just loves if you take half a second just to click on the thumbs up. It's absolutely free. It means so much to me and everyone else who needs to hear this. So thank you in advance. Remember to subscribe so that I might occasionally pop into your feed with more useful information. And thanks for being there. I hope you'll be at our next coffee morning. I'll see you in the next episode.